They thought she was just another passenger in row 9, quiet, ordinary, invisible. But when the engines roared and alarms blared at 30,000 feet, the pilot did something that froze everyone. He whispered her call sign. What happened next changed every life on that plane forever. Stay with me till the end, because this true test of courage will leave you speechless. And if you believe in stories that celebrate hidden heroes, hit that likey button and subscribe to Kinnis Stories. Because what you're about to hear you'll never forget. The story began on a cloudy Tuesday morning, Flight 472 bound for London from New York, filled with people from every walk of life. Businessmen tapping on laptops, a young couple holding hands, a mother soothing her crying toddler, and in the middle of it all, a woman sitting in row 9 by the window, wearing a simple black jacket, her dark hair tied neatly back, eyes hidden behind aviator sunglasses. To anyone watching, she looked like a regular traveler, maybe a little tense, maybe just tired. But there was something about her stillness, the way she scanned the cabin once before closing her eyes, that told a different story. A story no one on that plane could have imagined. Her name was Emily Kane. At least, that's what her boarding pass said. But that wasn't her real name. In another life, she was known by something else. Something that once made enemies whisper and allies salute. And that name was about to matter more than anyone could ever know. The first 2 hours of the flight were uneventful. Drinks were served, laughter filled the aisles, and the clouds outside glowed golden as the sun broke through. Emily sat silently, sipping water, her thoughts a million miles away. Or perhaps thousands of feet below, where memories of another sky, another mission, another time played on repeat. She had promised herself she was done with that life. The adrenaline, the danger, the loss. She had promised never to go back. But fate had a different plan. It started as a distant rumble, so soft most passengers didn't even notice. Then came a sharp jolt, shaking coffee cups, rattling trays. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, steady but tense. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some unexpected turbulence. Please fasten your seatbelts. The crew moved quickly, smiles plastered on their faces, hiding the unease in their eyes. But Emily noticed. She noticed everything. The angle of descent shifting slightly, the way the engines didn't sound right, the flicker of the cabin lights as backup systems kicked in, and then came the smell. Faint at first, then stronger. Smoke. Somewhere near the front. The man next to her, a middle-aged accountant on his way to a conference, chuckled nervously. Gus, we're in for a bumpy ride. Huh? Emily didn't answer. She had already unclipped her seatbelt, scanning the aisle, every instinct screaming that something was very, very wrong. Within minutes, the turbulence became violent. Overhead bins flew open, luggage crashed to the floor, a baby wailed in the back as oxygen masks dropped with a chilling hiss. Passengers screamed. The plane lurched hard to the left, and the voice of the captain returned, this time strained, urgent. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm and secure your oxygen masks. We are. Static swallowed the rest of his words. Emily's heart pounded, but not from fear, from focus. Because she had trained for moments like this. She knew what a decompression felt like. She knew the sound of failing hydraulics. And she knew, from the look on the flight attendant's pale face as she sprinted down the aisle, that this wasn't just turbulence. This was something else, something deadly. The cabin door burst open, and for a split second, Emily glimpsed the cockpit beyond, smoke curling like snakes, warning lights flashing crimson, and 2 pilots fighting desperately with the controls. The attendant slammed the door shut, fumbling with the intercom, but her voice shook. Brace position? Everyone? Brace! Panic spread like wildfire. People sobbed, clutched hands, prayed out loud. The accountant next to Emily muttered, "Oh God, oh God." But Emily wasn't panicking, she was calculating. And then it happened. The moment that changed everything. The door opened again, and the captain himself stepped out. His face was streaked with sweat and soot, his uniform disheveled. Eyes wide with something Emily recognized instantly: desperation. He scanned the cabin like a drowning man searching for air, and then his gaze landed on her. For a heartbeat, and then, in a voice so low only she could hear, he whispered one word. Her old life. Her forgotten name. Her call sign. Shadow. Emily froze. No one had called her that in years. Not since the missions, the night raids, the black skies where she flew faster than sound and disappeared like smoke. No one was supposed to know. But the captain knew. And if he knew, it meant one thing. This wasn't an accident. This was war, in the skies above innocent people. Her jaw tightened. What do you need? She murmured, already rising. The captain didn't waste time. Both engines hit. Fire in the left wing. Controls failing. I can't hold her much longer. Passengers stared as Emily moved down the aisle, her calm cutting through the chaos like a blade. She stepped into the cockpit, and the world tilted, alarms blaring, screens flashing, smoke choking the air. The first officer looked up, eyes wide. Who is she? The captain's voice was grim. Our only chance. Emily slid into the jump seat, hands flying over the panels with muscle memory she thought she'd buried forever. The yoke shuddered violently as she gripped it. Hydraulic assist is gone, she said. You're in manual reversion. The captain nodded. I know. Then we're not landing in London, she said flatly. Closest strip, military base. 50 miles south. But what? There's more. They did this. He jerked his chin toward a blinking radar screen. Emily's eyes narrowed, a second blip. Moving fast. Missile, drone, armed, tail on us. Her pulse kicked, but her face stayed calm. Get me comms. Seconds later, she had the headset on, voice steady as steel. This is Shadow, authenticated. Who's painting my bird? Silence. Then static, and then a voice, cold and mocking. Well, the ghost returns. Too bad you won't live to haunt us. Emily's blood ran cold. She knew that voice. She had fought him before, and now he was back. To finish what he started. Outside through the cracked windshield, the clouds split, and there it was, sleek. Deadly. A predator in the sky, and it had them locked. Hang on, she muttered, shoving the throttles forward. The plane groaned in protest, but obeyed. Passengers screamed as the aircraft dove, banking hard, engines howling in agony. Drinks flew. Luggage tumbled. Someone shouted, "We're all going to die." But Emily didn't hear them. All she heard was the wind, the engines, the heartbeat of the machine beneath her hands. She pulled, twisted, coaxed every ounce of strength from the wounded bird, weaving through clouds as the drone spat death from behind. Flares, none. Chaff, nothing. Just her, the sky, and 100 souls depending on her. Come on, old girl, she whispered. One more fight. For 30 eternal minutes, the battle raged. Dive, climb, roll, every move a dance with death. And then, when hope was almost gone, she saw it. A storm front ahead, boiling and black. Lightning forked like veins of fire. To the drone it was chaos. To Emily it was cover. She plunged into the storm, lightning searing the sky, thunder shaking the bones of the earth. Behind them the drone hesitated, sensors screaming, and then, bang, a flash, a roar, silence. Emily exhaled, chest heaving. The drone was gone. But they weren't safe yet. Fuel was bleeding, engines dying, altitude falling. The base loomed ahead like a promise and a prayer. Gear down, she ordered. Metal groaned, wheels locked. The runway rushed up, and then, with a bone-crushing screech, they hit. The world exploded in smoke and sparks. And then, silence. When Emily opened her eyes, the plane was still. Cheers erupted, sobs of relief filling the cabin. The captain turned to her, awe in his eyes. You saved them. She shook her head. We saved them. She stood, ignoring the pain in her ribs, the smoke in her lungs. People stared as she walked back down the aisle. This woman they had ignored, dismissed, forgotten. Some whispered. Some reached out to touch her hand. And then she was gone, melting into the crowd on the tarmac like a shadow. Later, news would call her a hero. But Emily didn't care. She wasn't in it for glory. She never was. She just did what she had to do. And if you believe in stories like this, stories of courage, sacrifice, and hidden heroes, don't forget to hit that likey button and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Because there are more tales like this waiting to be told, and you don't want to miss them. The world outside was chaos. Sirens wailing, emergency vehicles racing across the tarmac, floodlights cutting through the smoke that curled from the crippled jet like the ghost of a battle fought and won. Emily stepped out into the cold wind, her boots hitting the asphalt with a weight she hadn't felt in years. A weight of old ghosts clawing their way back into her life. She had thought it was over. She had walked away from that world, buried it deep under layers of anonymity and silence, but tonight had torn it wide open, bleeding memories she had locked away. The captain limped beside her, leaning on a medic who fussed over his burns, but his eyes never left Emily, not once. You were incredible, he rasped, voice thick with awe and something else. Guilt, maybe. Because he had known her real name, her call sign, the thing she had sworn no one would ever use again. You shouldn't have said it. She muttered without looking at him, her voice sharp as broken glass. He flinched, and for a moment she almost regretted it. Almost. They would all be dead without you, he said softly, his gaze sweeping to the passengers being escorted down the stairs, some sobbing, some clinging to loved ones like lifelines. Emily followed his eyes, and something inside her twisted. A strange ache she hadn't felt in years. Relief, yes. But also fear, because if he knew her name, others would too. And that meant the past wasn't just behind her anymore. It was coming for her. She turned away, blending into the chaos like a shadow. Her name, her face. Just another survivor among the dozens on that smoking plane. But inside, her pulse was a drumbeat of old instincts: don't be seen, don't be heard, don't stay. And yet, fate wasn't done with her. Not yet. Because even as she walked toward the terminal, head down, jacket collar high, she felt it. A prickle at the base of her neck, that sixth sense honed from years in hostile skies. Eyes. Watching. She didn't look back, not yet. Instead she adjusted her pace, slow, calm, but every muscle coiled tight, every nerve tuned to danger. She reached the sliding glass doors, the warm blast of air hitting her like a wave, and then she saw it. A man by the vending machines, phone in hand, pretending to scroll but not reading, because his eyes were on her, and when their gazes met, even for a flicker, she knew. Not airport security. Not press, something worse. Her pulse spiked, but her face stayed blank. She kept walking, past baggage claim, past the crowd of anxious families waiting for loved ones, until she hit a deserted corridor near a staff-only door. She slipped inside like a shadow, silent, unseen, and then she moved fast, through dim hallways reeking of disinfectant, weaving between crates and service carts, until she reached a fire exit. Outside the night was raw and wet, rain starting to fall in cold needles. She pulled up her hood and kept walking, boots splashing in puddles, until the airport lights were just aglow behind her. Only then did she breathe. But the breath didn't ease her. Because that prickle of danger, it hadn't gone. If anything, it burned hotter. She ducked into a service lot, weaving between trucks until she found what she needed, an unlocked maintenance van. Seconds later, she was behind the wheel, the engine coughing to life. She drove with steady hands, merging onto a dark service road that snaked away from the airport like an artery into the wilderness. And with every mile, her mind replayed the voice from the comms, cold and mocking: well. The ghost returns. He had survived. After all these years, after everything, he was still out there. And now he knew she was too. She gripped the wheel tighter, the rain streaking the windshield like silver scars. She had fought to leave that world. Fought to be free. But freedom was a lie. You don't walk away from who you are. And she was Shadow, she always would be. An hour later, she ditched the van in a motel parking lot and paid cash for a room at the far end, the kind with flickering neon and threadbare curtains. She locked the door, checked the windows twice, then sat on the edge of the bed, head in her hands. For a moment, just a moment, she let the weight of it all crush her. The screams, the fire, the battle in the sky. The faces of those passengers when they realized they might live after all. She could still hear the little boy in row 12 sobbing into his mother's arms, whispering, "We're okay, Mommy. We're okay." And that was why she couldn't regret it. She had saved them. But in doing so, she had lit a signal flare for every ghost in her past. And they were already coming. Her phone buzzed. Not her real phone, the one she kept for emergencies, hidden in a false pocket of her bag. Only 5 people in the world had this number, and 3 of them were dead. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. Unknown ID. She answered anyway. "Hello, Shadow," the voice purred, smooth as oil, male, European lilt. Familiar enough to make her stomach turn. "You're hard to kill." Her grip tightened on the phone. "You should have tried harder." A low laugh. "Oh, I will. But not tonight." Tonight was just a hello. A reminder that the past never dies. Static crackled, and then the line went dead. Emily sat frozen, the phone heavy in her hand, her pulse a storm. He wasn't bluffing, he never bluffed. And if he was alive, so were others. Which meant this wasn't just about her. It was about everyone she had ever cared about. Everyone she had ever sworn to protect. She stood, pacing the small room like a caged tiger, her mind racing. She could run. Disappear again. Change names, change faces, vanish into some far corner of the earth. But deep down she knew it wouldn't matter. He would find her. He would keep coming. And worse, he would hurt others to get to her. That wasn't something she could live with. She stopped at the cracked mirror above the sink, staring at the stranger staring back. The simple black jacket, the neat ponytail, the soft civilian edges she had tried so hard to wear, gone. All that was left was the steel beneath, the soldier, the pilot, the ghost. Slowly, deliberately, she opened her bag and pulled out the small case she had kept for years, the one she swore never to touch again. She snapped it open, and there it was, the badge, the patch, the wings, symbols of a life she had buried, but not destroyed. Her fingers brushed the fabric, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel shame. She felt purpose. And with that purpose came clarity. She couldn't hide. If the past wanted a fight, she would give it one. But on her terms, her rules. And God help anyone who got in her way. Outside, the storm raged harder. Wind howling like a beast unleashed. Emily sat at the edge of the bed, phone in hand, and dialed a number she hadn't called in a decade. It rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "Who is this?" She hesitated for half a heartbeat, then said the name she thought she'd never say again. "It's Shadow." Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "Emily, Jesus. We thought you were dead." "I know." Her voice was steel. "Listen to me. He's back. And he's hunting." Another pause, heavier this time. "Where are you?" "Doesn't matter. What matters is this: we end it now. Before he burns the world down." The voice on the line let out a long breath. "You're sure?" "I heard him." "Then God help us all." She hung up, staring at the rain-smeared window, the motel sign flickering red like a warning in the dark. The war she thought was over had just begun. And this time, it wasn't about orders or countries or flags. It was personal, deadly personal. Somewhere out there he was smiling, thinking he had the upper hand. He was wrong. Emily Kane was done running. Shadow was back. And the hunt was on. So if you want to know what happens when the ghosts of the past come knocking, if you want to see how far a woman will go to protect the innocent and face the demons she thought she'd buried, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Keenness Stories. Because this isn't the end. It's only the beginning, and what's coming next will leave you breathless.